Hello, everyone. You're welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast. This is a community for purpose-driven women who desire to live their dreams and aspirations. Our mission is to inspire you to live your dreams one day at a time while serving as a beacon of hope and guidance. We will be addressing various issues related to womanhood. Join me as we explore our journey of life together. I am your host, Women Hamilton. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to another episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. It's great to have you tune in today. Today, we are going to be discussing about home management and how to maintain a tidy home for busy women. Our guest today will be joining us to tell us about practical tips on how we can have a home management plan and also integrate home management into our daily routine. She is Mrs. Kachi Kolawole Babatunde. She practices as an administrator in the educational sector, but alongside, she is a passionate home management enthusiast, and she helps busy women achieve their organization goals at home. So whether you are a working professional, a stay-at-home mom, a business owner who works outside the home, or just a woman seeking to develop home management skills, today's episode is a must listen. So tune in as we listen to Kachi share her tricks and tips on how to maintain a tidy home. Stay tuned. Kachi, you're welcome. It's great to have you once again on the Women Lighthouse podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Basically, we're going to be talking about home management and how we could maintain a tidy home as women, as busy women. Especially knowing that as busy women, the least thing we may have time for would actually be to really take out a lot of time to care for the home, because a lot of us are working mothers or we run a business outside the home. So we basically spend less time at home. And most times we hire the services of a house cleaner to do that for us. So basically, we want to know all the tips and the tricks on how we could be better home managers and keep a tidy home as women.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. So it's an honor to share, some of the things that have worked over time for me. Starting off, I'd just like to say that when it comes to home management and keeping a tidy home, I think the first thing to do when you are thinking about, managing your home is to first of all have like a goal or a vision for what you want your home to be like. So, for example, someone like me, I thrive when there's order because I'm an administrator. So everything has to, ordered. There has to be, a semblance of neatness, things put in their proper place for me to even function, to be creative. Somebody said we say mental health a lot these days, but for just my mental stability. If the house is just a little out of order, I begin to feel anxious. I don't know if I'm the only one that experiences that. Anxiety comes on. I feel like I'm under a whole lot of pressure. Then, I tend to lash out, especially at the kids, arrange this, put this back here. So I had to really sit down and understand, what my vision and my goal for homemaking was. And, after reading up, asking people who have been busy women for longer than I have, after all that, one thing that, came to mind, or one thing that everybody just kept saying is, what is your goal? What do you want for your home? So I feel like anyone that is looking into having a tidy home or home management to first ask, what is your goal? So do you want your home to be like the place where you come to and it's like a haven, a place where you feel relaxed, you don't have to go to the most expensive hotel. You can just stay home and have that luxurious feel just by being at home. So what do you want? Or do you just want a place that is just clean? Right? So do you want a place that's just clean? And every home, I feel, has a system in place. Even if you don't know it's a system, there's something you are already doing to try and make sure that your home is tidy. Apart from people who maybe from a lack of knowledge don't even know what being tidy or being messy is. But for me, I grew up with, yes, upbringing has a lot to do with it as well. I grew up with and the administrators. Everything had to be, you take something from somewhere, you have to keep it back. So that was flogged. Every Saturday, you will wash the walls, you will scrub the floor. There have been times when I washed the toilets more than 5 times in a day because it was not to the taste of my mom. So that was my upbringing as well. So once I enter an environment, I start to see things that are not right, things that could be better, being an administrator. So the first thing is to know what you want for a home. And I will feel like the second thing is to identify the problem. So what's exactly the problem? Early in marriage, my problem was that, I grew up as an only child. So I couldn't understand cleaning up after another person, and then the little things that people do, like, my husband will put some clothes on the wardrobe handle. My God, that thing almost drives me crazy. I'm not like, why is this? In fact, there was a particular time I packed all the clothes that he hung on the, the handle, and I just packed it and threw it on top of him. Like, take, So identify what your problem is. So, for example, some people's problem is they are so busy. They get back home and they are tired.
Yeah.
They are fogged out. They really cannot. It's not even a matter of this person is a dirty person. It's just the fact that the will, the mental will, the physical strength is not there. So identify what the problem is. For some people, it might just be that you haven't set in place systems to help manage your home. You might need more help. You might need, to employ somebody to do the work. You might need to have a routine, a schedule. You just might, you just don't have a system in place. So everything goes. You end up feeling so overwhelmed. And after a while, clothes begin to pile up, things begin to pile up, and you don't even know where to start from. And some people are just plain old, lazy, or just too big. So I identified very quickly that even though I like a tidy environment, I'm not somebody who I don't want to do it by myself all the time. There's sometimes, there are some things that even though I outsource cleaning right now, there's some things that the person does not do to my taste. Not necessarily because the person is dirty. It's just, like I say, upbringing. So she might not scrub the edges the way I like it. So once in a while, I do all that by myself just to make sure that my goal for, having a tidy home is being met. So we'll talk about systems. What's the system that you have right now? What is wrong with your system? And then you can now start to look for solutions. For some people, it's clutter. They have too many things. They own too many things. One of the things that especially us Nigerians or Africans pack a lot is all this nylon bag. I don't know. What are we doing with that nylon bag? We go to the market, they give us nylon, we keep it, and we use it. I'll use it. So you keep it, and then before you know what is happening, you have a whole cabinet filled with, different types of nylon bags that you probably are not going to use and are just too much. Or you go to a restaurant, you get back home, they give you all these plastic takeaway plates, and you are taking everything home. Every piece of takeaway is in your cupboard, scattered. Some don't have covers. So clutter. So one of the first things to do when you are really looking at home management, especially for somebody who really hasn't been, keeping up with a tidy home, is to first of all declutter. I used to say, if I don't use you in 3 to 6 months, I don't need you. No matter what it is, no matter how expensive or how valuable it is, if you have not used it in 3 to 6 months, you do not need it. Sell it, give it away, throw it away. If it's something that you cannot, pass down to another person, give people, call people, especially children's clothes, books, so many, even plastic bags, even all these nylon bags, plastic plates, give it away. So many times I just get into, especially when it's that time I've already scheduled for it, I just go around and I look for things that I don't need and I just give them away. And when I give them away, I don't immediately look for stuff to fill it up. You understand? So if you are giving away and buying new things and giving away and buying new things, you just find out that a circle just continues and you still have clutter. If you have furniture that you are not using, give it away. You don't plan to have more kids, there's a crib somewhere, give it away. It's clutter. You're going to end up packing things inside it. When I went to visit one of my uncles, their youngest child was 7 and their oldest was like 12. So they were done with anything baby making. So the crib was for packing books, school books that were not used anymore.
Wow.
For books that you don't like, primary school books, nursery school books that children have written in and cannot write in anymore. So throw it away, burn it, give it to the corn seller. In fact, if you give it to the corn and akara seller, they'll give you free corn as a thank you. So declutter your space, find things you don't need, right? Then the second thing will probably, once you ask yourself what the problem is, the problem might be you need help. You might need help. You might need somebody that will come once a week, twice a week, 5 times a week, all the day of the week. Find out what works for you. I always say there's no one size fits all. So I can't tell you, okay, you need somebody that will come in 3 times a week, and then you need somebody that will do your laundry. Like, it's specific to your need. If you feel like you need somebody that will come every day of the week, by all means, go for it. If you feel you need somebody that will live with you, that will stay in with you, if that works for you, please go for it. There is really no one size fits all. Just look at what is a priority to you. And if you can afford it, please do it. If you can't afford it, there are systems that you can use to go around that. One of the first things, I remember early in marriage, there was really nobody to assist with cleaning the house. So what I did was I created a routine. So on Mondays, it was the living room, right? So I had a day for everything, and then I had things that I did every day. So of course, you're going to use dishes every day. So dishes are, something you would have to wash every day. You'd have to keep the kitchen tidy every day. So in addition to keeping those daily things that I did, on Mondays, I was doing the living room, just tidying around the living room. And then Tuesdays was the bedroom, Wednesdays, the toilet. I sort of just broke the whole house in 2 days. And I wasn't, mopping every day. or, I was just doing like spot cleaning. Water pours on the floor here, I mop and all that. And then on Saturday, I'll just mop everywhere. And that was what I was doing, because at the time, I really couldn't afford, help. And so as kids started coming, we started seeing that, okay, somebody needs to start coming once a week. And then after a while, it was 5 times a week. Yeah, I think I had somebody come out 5 times a week when my kids were, my first was really young. And then right now, I have somebody that just comes 3 times a week. Right?
Okay.
So you need to have somebody that comes. But if you can't afford it, or you are just, some people don't want people in their homes, not necessarily that they can't afford it. They just don't want people that are not family coming into their home. So if you're one of those people, you can create structures that, okay, I'm going to do this on this day and that day. You have daily tasks, you have weekly chores, you have things that you do monthly. Monthly will probably be washing your curtains. We go to some people's houses and their curtains have not been washed in a year because they're so busy. They don't even remember in a year since wash curtains, or their bed sheets, their duvets, or you go into some people, it's not, they just don't know. They're just so overwhelmed and all that. So if you have a schedule and you have it written out somewhere, or you have a reminder on your phone that goes off every 3 months, letting you know that, okay, it's time to wash the curtains, it's time to deep clean the oven, the microwave, all those things, it helps to, keep the home running properly while you still have your busy schedule. So just prioritize the most important things, and then a schedule and a routine is very important. Another thing that is very important is to have an organization system. So you have storage systems. So for example, your kids' clothes, some of these wardrobes don't have like drawers. Like my kids' wardrobe don't have drawers. So if I stack up, once they pick one, cloth out, everything will just fall. I'm folding clothes every day. Sometimes they'll just go there and then just throw everything out. So I had to buy baskets and, put clothes into the baskets and stack the baskets up. So even if you take one cloth out of it, you are not, scattering the whole wardrobe. And that saved me a lot of time. And, I always say you can go luxury, or you can find, like when you're buying an item, for me, the first thing I think about is not really money. What I think about is, first of all, what do I have right now that I can substitute for this high end? Because I like the luxury one too. I like the luxury one because they look nice, they are shiny and all that. But, the budget might not allow for that at that time. So you just look at it and say, okay, for example, there are these acrylic containers that when you see on Instagram people's fridge, and it looks all organized and all that. So I wanted that system where my fridge is sectioned and organized like that. But the acrylic containers are expensive. Some of them go for like 25,000, 21 for just one. So all those plastic plates that people use for takeaway and all that, I just, had a way and put it on a budget. Another thing that I started to do, this year is my kids don't play in the living room. I want the house to be tidy all the time, right? I want to be able to have visitors come in at any time. So I don't want any toys thing in the living room. And that has really helped because, like we say, we're talking about women that are busy, career moms, or just busy single ladies that really don't have time for all these things, right? So when you develop a system, a routine, eventually it becomes a habit. At the beginning, it might be something that you have to really put in work to do. And one of the things I would like to encourage us is, it's not perfect. Even I don't have a perfect system. There are days when life happens and everything sort of falls apart. The person that is supposed to clean the house does not come, the kids are ill, something just happens that is really unexpected, right? So what I would say is take a day at a time, and allow yourself the opportunity to just be human, right? So on those days when everything doesn't work the way it does, no need to panic, be overwhelmed, be angry and anxious and all that. Just, take the day as it is, and tomorrow pick up from where your routine leaves you, and then prioritize what's important to you. You don't have to go for every single party. You don't have to go for every hangout. What's important to you, prioritize, try and make sure that your routine is not, I'm not saying be rigid with your routine, but just try and make sure that even when you fall off your routine, you pick it up the next day. Just start over tomorrow like you're just starting over again, right? So, and then set goals that are realistic. So if you have young children and toddlers, you cannot expect your house to be spick and span all the time. Yeah. Anybody that wants to visit you when you have children under 8 probably should not be surprised if they get to the house and your living room is upside down. It's part of what you're experiencing at that time. So you can only do so much to just try and, like I said, I set up boundaries. You see, like I noticed something with white people, they have like play rooms for their kids where they just say, okay, and then the kids play and exactly, they mess the place up anyhow they want, and then after, at the end of the day, they clean the place, the house is tidy, because kids need to scatter things. It's part of their, developmental, what's it called? It's part of the way they develop, they learn. Yeah. So they need it. So restricting a child and saying, you know what, don't touch this, don't go there, is as well as saying don't breathe, right? But you can make them conscious of it. Involve them, right? My 5-year-old is doing dishes. She's bathing herself, bathing her sister. Because I'm like, and when she does it, I don't, one of the problems is we want it perfect, right? So when you do the dishes, it's spick and span. So you don't want them to make a mess, because when they do the dishes, there's a whole cleaning up session afterwards. But how are they going to learn how it's done if you don't allow them make the mess? And when they're making the mess, I always say, you know what? Because you wash the dishes and then leave the sponge one side, leave the napkin another side. I said, no, work is a complete cycle. So you start and then you finish properly. You complete it, you put everything back where it's supposed to be. And we've not gotten to the point where, she can independently do all these things. But with little supervision over time, I've seen that there are responsibilities that she can handle, right? So give them jobs. And funny enough, they want to do it. They want to sweep. They want to mop. Let them do it. Let them sweep. Let them mop. Let them, clean the tables. Anyhow, they can do it. Because I noticed that something that happens is that parents feel like, okay, I'll teach them when they're older. And then they get so used to not doing anything that when they're older and you expect them to start doing these things, you start chasing them. Go and wash plates. Go and clean your room. Go and do it. Now becomes like a real conscious effort to get them to clean up after themselves. And it's a life skill that is necessary for any individual. Carry your kids along, carry everybody in the house along and say, you know what, this is this person's responsibility, this is that person's responsibility, right? So once you have routine in place, it becomes a habit. It becomes something that everybody knows what to do. And then prioritize self-care, sleep, rest. It could be difficult. I remember when I had my first child, everybody said, sleep when the baby is sleeping. For some reason, I didn't listen to them. And I ended up being overwhelmed all the time. But now, I try and take out time to, you know what, just lock the door with us inside, scatter everywhere inside the room, and I'm sleeping.
Are you serious? How do you do that?
And give them their toy.
How will you sleep when they are making noise and disturbing you all around?
And so it's not actually deep. It's not actually REM sleep. It's just enough to keep the stress off. And then the way my house is built, there's a door in between the living room and the rooms. So once I lock that one, they can crisscross between my room and theirs without necessarily going to the kitchen and the rest of the house, which is where they do the most damage when they are playing. You know, so you just do it. You just find time. If you need to go to the spa, if you need someone that will just find time to just do something for you. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you're not okay, these systems that you have set in place and all that, they will not work the way they are supposed to work. Even if you have someone cleaning your house, you know, when you are not fine, there's a tendency to make more of a mess. You're not cleaning up after yourself, even as an adult. So you just fall into that cycle of still having an unkept home.
So before you go, I want to just find out, when we now say like home management, what are the key things as women we should look out for?
So the first things first, you know, when you're talking about home management, is your menu, your feeding your family, right? So meal prep, do you have a market list? You know, how often? All those things are part of the things that you put into a routine. Do I shop every day? Do I shop once a week? Do I bulk cook? Like, I found out that bulk cooking, you know, it works best for me. Because sometimes you get back home and you're just so tired. There's stew in the fridge. You just have to boil rice. Doesn't take so much time and preparation into it. Have a menu, you know. A menu is not a you have to eat. If the menu says Monday, jollof rice. If we don't eat jollof rice, we're not eating in this house. The menu is just to help, just in case, you know, you don't know what else to cook. You know, it's just like something to fall back on and say, okay, jollof rice is today. It doesn't mean if you're craving fried rice, you can't make that. So a menu is just to guide you and say, okay, let's go this way. So you shop according to your menu, right? If you can buy things in bulk, that works. If you can buy things in bulk, it works. If you can store things in the freezer, I know light is not really something that is reliable in this part of the world, but if you can, you know, do soup, put it in the freezer, put it inside. Like, what I do is I put it in containers that are small enough for us to eat at once, because I don't like reheating soups and stews. So I just do like just small size that, you know, I know that we can finish at once, and then we reheat it. So I don't really like the taste of frozen vegetables and all that. So if it has to do with like vegetable soup or anything like that, I make it fresh. Every other thing, soups and stews, all that, I do this carrots and what is it called? Like fried rice mix. I fry it and put it into small portions. So if I want to make like rice, fried rice or Indomie that has like vegetables and all that, I don't have to start cutting vegetables and frying it. So look for things that you can do to save time. Meal prep, right? You can do meal prep for the week, especially if maybe your kids are taking food to school and all that. Do meal prep for the week. You know, funny enough, I called one of my friends like 2 weeks ago because I had fallen back in my meal prep. So my kids were taking, you know, food that I bought, you know, to school for like a whole week. And sometimes you just need somebody to hold you accountable. So what I just said is, please just call me the day before and just ask me, what do you plan on giving these children tomorrow? So if you need someone to hold you accountable and you have people like that in your life, please, by all means, you know, put that call through and say, please help me, help keep me accountable, you know. So home management, meal prep, have a budget, right? Know how much, like you should know how much with time, you should know how many baskets of tomato you eat in the house in a month. How many bags of rice do you eat in a month or in a year, so that you can plan all these things. So if you know, for example, that we eat 25 kg bag of rice in 6 months, you know that in 6 months time I need to buy this, so you can start shifting money where you need to shift it, or you can start making plans on how to store all those type of things. So you should know how many baskets of tomatoes you eat in a month, how many soups do you need to cook, because it won't be nice for you to have soups in the fridge and then they don't last up to a month and then you are panicking. Know what is in your freezer. I have an inventory for my freezer. I know what is in there at each time, so I can tell you how many packs of frozen meat are there, how many packs of tomato right now is there. So with that in mind, I know that, okay, that will serve us till so and so time. I'm not panicking about what am I going to cook, what are we going to eat and all that. So have meal prep, have an inventory for your pantry if you have one. If you don't have one, you have containers where we store peak milk, store this, or store that. If you can buy in bulk, please buy in bulk. So I try to buy 2, 3 of each item so that, I can always have one when I really need it. So, yeah. And then one of the most annoying things is the people that work for us, when things are running out, they don't let us know.
Yeah,
so
very, very true. Yeah.
So you are the one using this thing. When you were about to use the last one, why didn't you inform? So it really puts me off. So I try and make sure that there is always something left over that we can use. So I think that's all I have to say.
Wow. Actually, like, you've really covered everything. And it's really been enlightening, even for me, because I've been able to take away so much from everything you've said, beginning with knowing what your goals are, and based on that, building up a structure, setting up a schedule, prioritizing what's most important, developing storage system, decluttering, getting help when necessary, and most importantly, like, that play area for the kids. I think it really comes in handy for younger kids, not allowing them play like in the living room, and restricting if possible, even if for those that may not be living in a big apartment, it's still possible to set up a play area one way or the other. So this has really been an enlightening conversation. In today's episode, we've learned that managing our homes as busy women can be quite challenging, coupled with the responsibilities we hold as women. But it's definitely achievable. Always remember to prioritize your tasks, seek help when necessary, and also remember to prioritize self-care. If you are able to do all that has been shared today, then you are on the path of creating a balanced and fulfilling lifestyle as a busy woman. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. I hope you were inspired to keep taking steps towards living out your dreams. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to share it with other women and leave us a review on our social media platform, which is in the description box. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel to get notified of new episodes. Till I come your way on our next episode, keep living, keep dreaming. Bye for now.